Well, hello. Once again, I'm the Rifter, and this is a tutorial. And what kind of tutorial is this? Well, I've been trying to think of things I'm good at, which there aren't many. Decent at music, believe it or not. And I know some of you may have seen the cover of Drive by the Cars. Yeah, not the greatest, but I can't play guitar that well anymore. But my musical knowledge, that's another story altogether. So what am I going to teach you about today? Something kind of scary. And I say it's scary because it is when you're a musician and you really want to write music and you don't understand how music works. You just try to throw things together and you ask your buddies, hey, what sounds good? Oh, G, C, and D always sounds good. Well, there's reasons behind why those chords sound good together. And this whole thing, and it's a tutorial, but it's called musical theory. It's all a theory. You can do whatever you want in music. Don't let somebody tell you, well, you can't do that. You literally can do whatever you want in music. Having said that, some of it doesn't sound good. Some of it does. It really just depends on what kind of music you are trying to record or play or write and what you want the outcome to be. So, first, my theory on music, and it hasn't failed me yet, and this is strictly going off of music basics. The first thing you need to learn is your scales. That's it. If you want to call them patterns, that's fine. I say learn them by pattern because I don't like learning. I know note names and I know where they are on my keyboard and where they are on a fretboard, but sometimes I have to stop and think. I haven't memorized the whole fretboard. I'm getting better with a keyboard, but still. Memorize your patterns and realize what at least your root note is, and the root note is your first note in the scale. So you've got your circle of fifths, and it looks kind of like this, what's surrounding my face. And I'm going to go off of C major, because that's the easiest thing. There's no sharps or flats, which these nifty black keys on a keyboard, they're just small and they kind of get in my way. I like using just the wider keys because they're wide. They're wider. Not saying I can't play sharps and flats on a keyboard, but it's just easier. Anyway, so I use C major. Now, some people use this a little bit differently than I do. I like to use. First of all, you get your basic circle of fifths around my head. Well, if you go back to F, and then circle around down to B, those are all the notes in C major scale. I don't use it like that. It's just not how I use the circle of fifths. Now, you can use it. There's no real incorrect way to use it. Well, yeah, I guess there is, but if you're going by the guidelines, there's no real incorrect way to use it. But if you go C, D, E, F, G, so you see you got C on top, and you go one over, that's the fifth note of the C scale. G, A, B, C, D, you got G, and then you go one. It's the fifth note of the G major scale. So this is how it's laid out. And this is why it's laid out like this. You got C, and the C major scale has 0 sharps and flats. Simple. If you go to G, G's got 1 sharp. D's got 2 sharps. A's got 3 sharps. E's got 4 sharps. B's got 5 sharps. And F has 6 sharps. Then when you get to D flat has 5, A flat has 4, E flat has 3, B flat has 2, and F has 1. So it just goes from C 1 to 6, and then 5 back to 0. 5 back to 0. So it goes from 0 to 6, then 6 back to 0. Whatever. You get what I'm saying, I hope. Otherwise, what's the point? So then there's another version of this chart where you can bring your relative minors into it, which if you've ever heard... God, I gotta think of it. It's a song by the Foo Fighters, and that's where I first noticed it when I was really into music in high school. And I was playing guitar for hours and hours every day. You've got... And this is the thing, I never understood why it sounded so good together. And that's one reason why I'm doing this, is because I can give you examples, and when you listen to music, you'll be like, oh, that's why that sounds so good. That's why the movement sounds so good. I can explain to you the theory behind it. I can't explain to you why it sounds good. It's just they're complementary notes. So we're going to go with C major again because, again, it's the easiest one. So if you go from a C major chord, which is C, the note C, E, and G, that's the first note in the scale, the third note in the scale, and the fifth note in the scale. That is a C major chord. Now, if you want the relative minor of that chord, you go to A minor. Now, A minor is the relative minor of C. You've got A, C, and E. Those are the three notes in a minor chord. They're all... Basically, if you look at a keyboard and you want to play all the white keys, you can come up with just about any chord on those white keys. Don't use any sharps or flats, but just on the wider white keys, play any combination of those keys, and it'll just about sound right together, because it's just about, you can do some harmonically terrible things on a piano and in music. But almost any combination in those keys is going to sound great because you're staying in the C major scale. Now, if you start throwing sharps and flats in there, you may be in a scale, and trust me, there are thousands and thousands of scales. There are Indian scales, there's Asian scales, there's, I don't know, every culture has their own scales and how they build things. Now, we've got major, minor, we've got modes, we've got Mixolydian, I can't even remember them all. There's like 8 or 9 of those, and there's different variations of them too. Again, it's very subjective. It depends on what you want to do and what you want to accomplish and what kind of culture that you are trying to make music for. But that is how this part of the scale works, from C to A minor. That is the relative minor of C. So if you go from C to A minor, it's going to sound great. Foo Fighters, I finally thought of it. Foo Fighters, I think the song was called Big Me. It's the one where they're in the music video and with the Futos is what the product was. Another example would be G to E minor. That is About a Girl, Nirvana. Great song, huge song, was a hit for him. Pretty much any of those. I can't think of any more examples off the top of my head, but you get it. If you start going through and looking at music and you're like, oh wow, D to B minor, the Eagles did that at one point. Yeah, well, there's a reason behind that and a reason why they did it, because it sounds great together. I mean, they were also talented musicians, but they obviously knew what they were doing with their theory. So there's another way, which I don't like, again, sticking with C major, I don't like doing C major, then going back one and circling halfway around to get the scale. That confuses me, and the notes aren't in order. So there's one more variation of this where, and I hope you can still see my face. I'm trying to keep my face in the center of the camera. This is the way I use it, which you've got your diminished chords in the circle as well. And this is like the full circle. And this is where I'm going to bring in when people tell you they are in the key of C. So this whole scale works. you've got, in a C major scale, you've got C, D, E, F, G, A, B. And then if you want to connect it back to the root note, C, whatever. But you've got 7 notes in the C scale. I like to go from C, D minor, E minor, F, G, A minor, B diminished. That is your key of C, and that's how I figure out what notes are in a scale. I don't like doing that crap where you go back one and then circle halfway around. It doesn't work that way for me. It doesn't. I don't know why. I never found it very helpful to do it that way. But if you go to if you want a D major scale, you've got D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp. It's that simple for me. You just have to get in that pattern. You just have to get in the mindset of looking at this diagram like that. But the chord structure in the key of C, and if you put these chords together and write a song with it, just any song, write a crappy song, it doesn't matter. It will work. You take C, D minor, E minor, F, G, A minor, and B diminished. You don't have to use all of them in the song, but pick and choose which ones sound good to you and what you're trying to accomplish. If you're in the key of C and you want to start out with A minor and go to F, do it. A minor and go to E minor, that sounds good too. So these key signatures, they work off of a formula. And the formula is you use Roman numerals. You use capital Roman numerals for major chords, and lowercase, well, you use capital letters for major chords and lowercase letters for minor chords. So you've got C would be your major chord. Then you've got D minor and E minor. Those are your minor chords, and those are going to be your lowercase letters. You've got F and G major. Those are going to be capital letters. And then you've got B diminished. That is going to be, I believe that's another lowercase letter. Now I have to look that up. So you've got C, D minor, E minor, F, G, A minor, and then B diminished. So it's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It just depends on what case you're going with for your Roman numerals. It sounds complicated. It's not. I will obviously put this on the screen. And this isn't, again, these are guidelines. This is how I use the circle of fifths. Now there's another way you can use it. And if you want to, like, there's a weird triangle shape you can use for major chords and seventh chords, which I don't use that. It's just easier to memorize what the chords are. So it's weird. If you take C major, which I know it's C, E, G for a major chord, it's some weird triangle that you use in just the bare circle of fifths, and I don't like it, just because I don't. I can't explain it any better than that. I don't like using it like that, and I don't know why, especially on a keyboard, which I've really gravitated more towards playing piano now than playing guitar. It's too stressful on my finger joints to play guitar for a long time now. I can play piano just about all day long, but you can use it to find out major chords and minor chords. C major, C, G, E. You can use that triangle, so you can go A, E, D flat for an A major chord. You can also do the minor chord if you want to flip the triangle in the other direction, which is A, C, E. You can use it like that if you want. I never have. You can use it for seventh chords too, or dominant sevenths, major sevenths. You can pretty much use it for whatever chord you want. Just figure out how the pattern goes. Like, you may have some kind of rhombus or different shape to use for that. But anyway, that's how I use the circle of fifths. It makes it really easy when you're writing music. And again, these are guidelines. You can do whatever you want. If you want to make a song where you just go C D E C D E C D E C D E, you can do it. If you want G C D D C G, whatever you want to do. Again, this is just a guideline, and 9 times out of 10, anything you try to write with this formula is going to work. As long as you stay within the scale and the key, you'll do fine. If you want to add a 7th onto this like if you want to go C, A minor 7th, that's probably going to sound good. Or if you want to do C, A minor 6th, it really depends if that note is in the scale, which it should be because it's the 6th, it's going to work. But if it doesn't, then it doesn't. Again, it's all up to your ear, your audience, what kind of music you're trying to write. Now, I made this so the D sharp diminished looks a little diminished, I guess. I don't know. So be gentle on that. And I kind of did it on the fly, but anyway, the knowledge is good. I hope anybody who's trying to write music, I hope this helps you. I don't know what I'm going to call this tutorial yet because I want to get more hits on it and help more people with it. Do it again. I'm the Rifter. 615 people subscribed. If you like this video, definitely like it. If it helped you and you want more, hey, subscribe. Even if it didn't help you, subscribe anyway. Anyway, as always, thank you for watching. Bye.
Bye.